Hello, taking you on a new walk today. It's called the Wheelock Rail Trail. Surprise, surprise, it used to be a railway line. But now it's a nice level path, so hopefully I can look at this without going whoops-a-daisy. Because I've just brought my car in for its MOT. Fingers crossed that all is well, especially as I've not driven an awful lot. But as ever, one thought has leapt onto another and I'm back learning to drive. I learnt to drive in a Triumph Spitfire. Probably not the best car to learn to drive in, but it was the one that we had, so beggars couldn't be choosers. And I was working at Boots head office in Nottingham at the time. I had my driving test and I stupidly told everybody. So of course they spent the whole of the day winding me up because my test was after work. And I think I can hear footsteps or a bike coming. Hello. And so by the time I started taking my test, I was petrified. And of course I failed. But shortly after we were moving out to live in Cyprus. So I had to take my test in Cyprus. And sadly I had to take a test again when I came back to UK because the Cyprus test isn't valid, or wasn't then valid in the UK. So off I went for my driving test. And I'd had to have a couple of lessons, it was required, or so they said. I went for my test at the test centre. And the man asked me a couple of questions. And he said, right, off we go. And within 100 yards, I had to do an emergency stop for a whole barrow load of melons tipping off the back of a car in front of me. So he said, oh, well, that was no problem. He said, I think we can go back to the test centre. And I thought, oh, I must have failed that miserably or something. Anyway, I got back to the test centre and he said, well done, you have passed. Right, thank you very much. I said, that was quick. He said, well, had you given me a bottle of whiskey, we needn't have even left the test centre. I thought, well, that was a fine time to tell me. But I thoroughly enjoyed the driving in the Spitfire in Cyprus. Couldn't be a better place for it. But there were very, very few sports cars on the island. And the fact that it was open top came in useful once when the clutch went. And we'd been playing tennis and had to get home. And so, of course, being Air Force pilots, there was some parachute cords in the boot. So we got these out. They were joined up to the clutch and controlled manually from over the top of the windscreen. It got us home. It worked. And then it went in to be mended. But it was never quite the same when we came back to UK, very pregnant. And sadly, the Spitfire had to go. But my cousin had always liked it, so he bought it from us. But unfortunately, within very few weeks' time, it was stolen. And stolen and dumped. It was used in a robbery, and then it was dumped. And final indignity, he had to pay to have it pulled out of the canal where it had been abandoned and taken to the scrapyard. I always thought what a dreadful, ignominious ending for what had been a really super car. We'd driven all the way down from Nottingham to Cyprus in it. Okay, yes, some of the time was on a boat. We didn't manage to get the car to go on the water, but it served us well. Roof rack went on the boot because we had to take as much of our stuff as we needed for about 5-6 weeks before the rest arrived by sea. And so it was all my husband's uniforms, a couple of pairs of knickers and a dress for me, and that was it. But we did it. We got as far as Nottingham town centre, and this old guy said, we stopped for a newspaper. This old guy said, "Oh, hope you've not got far to drive. That car doesn't look very healthy." The problem is when you put a lot of weight into the boot of a Triumph Spitfire, the back wheels splay out. And so we said, no, we've not got far to go. We didn't like to tell him that our destination was Cyprus. So we just left him to his morning paper, and off we went. So off I went to see how my car has got on. Take care. Thank you for listening. Speak to you tomorrow. Bye.